Welcome to Coleman Report Live. I'm Bob Coleman. We're talking Main Street and the small business lenders who help it grow. John Riosti, American banker. John, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it. Katie, of course, out of Washington State. Katie, good to see you. A lot of news going on today. John, how busy you been in the last couple of weeks?
We have been very busy, but not with our usual suspects. Sort of the fourth quarter earnings came out they've been spread over the past roughly 10 to 12 days, so that's kept us very busy.
Overall, good, bad, and different. What's your takeaway from that, from all the earnings reports?
You know, my takeaway, I know perhaps some investors and others would have liked to see, bigger bottom lines, but my takeaway, I always focus on asset quality, and it is excellent. I can't remember the banker that said it, the CEO, but he talked about, 2020 as the crash that never happened in terms of asset quality.
Interesting.
If you go back to what people were worried about in March and April and May, all the huge numbers of deferments, et cetera, the picture might have looked bleak, but it's brightened considerably.
Well, the big change between this crisis and the one 10 years ago is every Friday, 10 years ago, we would have a bank closure. Excuse me. I mean, I haven't seen one in 2021. Have you, John?
No, there's been, I think, since since March,
of last year, yeah.
When the pandemic hit, I think there's been one total.
Yeah.
One.
I think, yeah. I mean, it's amazing. Hey, let's get to the content. We have a lot of content. We've linked all of these notices to your handout page. And we have some poll questions. So SBA will begin making 11-12 payments on February 1st if your 7A or 504 loan was fully dispersed before September 27th, 2020. True. Why is that date important?
I think in the legislation, that was the...
Is that it, Katie? Is that...
Yeah, I assume so. That's what the legislation was saying. So I think that's just the date they picked for that.
Your lending institution process. Okay, I came out today that we're going to the 90% and we're going to waiver of fees. And what does the institution need to do? Do you have to go in and manually do something in E-Tran to fix this? No, you don't have to do anything. It's done automatically. And if you've paid the fees, they will be automatically sent back to the lender, assuming the fees were paid, obviously. So you don't have to do anything. That's all set. Correct, Katie?
Yes.
Okay. Number 3, maximum SBA Express loan amount is $500,000. John, I know this is something that you follow.
I'm going to say false here.
Oh, you're jumping ahead of. Yes, it is false. It's a trick question. The maximum guarantee is $500,000. The maximum loan is $1 million. So we can do that. John, how important is that to the program? I know Express, you've been following this pretty closely.
I have, and I am surprised, I guess, that there hasn't been more Express activity. And I guess now with a 90% guarantee, it's maybe lenders are saying we'd rather have one than the other. That perhaps that is more important or a better trade than the ease of processing.
Well, we're talking numbers, and I know 7A's down about 16 to 17% over last year,
right.
And is it simply, I always go back to supply and demand issues. Here, is it a supply issue that the lenders are just jammed and they're putting all the resources into PPP? What's your take on that, John?
I think there's less of a supply issue, or at least a capacity issue, because lenders have a better handle on PPP now. I think there are fewer lenders participating. And more of the ones that are participating are doing it through partnerships You know, and anyway, the bottom line is they have a better handle on, you know, the process. I think what you got at just a moment ago, Bob, when you said the 90% guarantee kicked in finally, I would like to see, you know, revisit this conversation about a month from now to see how the numbers change, because that's going to be big. I mean,
Right.
If we go through past experience, somewhere down the line, that's going to be big. That's going to draw people into the program.
Yeah, and maybe part of the problem is that for underwriting, 2020 is just a disaster for a lot of companies, so it doesn't cash flow. That's why they're putting you into PPP, but PPP will end at some point in time, and then we have to look at traditional financing.
Right.
So it's the maximum guarantee amount. Did we increase it? Is it the same at $3.75 million? True, false? John, it's a trick question. Do you know the trick? Do you know the asterisk on that? Or Katie?
I do, but only because I read the handout. So
go ahead, John. I'll let you spill the beans.
I think there's a sort of based on the handout, a 9% add-on that brings the guarantee up to roughly 4.2 million.
Right, but that's for export. Actually, export will go to 4.5 million. The 3.75 still remains, but there are carve-outs on that. I don't have it handy. Yeah, in fact, there it is right there, the 4.2 million. But the maximum guarantee, what do we got here, Katie? Help me out.
Yeah, this is a lot of information to have on one slide. To summarize it, I suppose the temporary increase is of 90% for SBA 7A loans. SBA Express does have a little bit of a different formatting for that and how they're handling it. So if you're handling one of those, you might want to check the section on that to see how those are handled. There's a temporary reduction in both the SBA Guarantee Fee, which is the upfront fee, and the annual servicing fee. Both of those are now zero. Temporary extension. Sorry, are you saying something?
No, go ahead. You're fine.
Okay. There's also a temporary extension of increase in maximum SBA Express loan size from that $350,000 to $1 million. I don't know if that's on the slide here. And there's a temporary increase of the maximum for SBA Express from 50% to 75% for that guarantee, and a permanent change to maximum SBA loan size to $500,000 effective October 1st.
Okay, so here it is. The maximum loan amount is $3.75 million. Mm-hmm. The carve-outs on that for Export Express. Oh, there's pretty good, Katie. I was searching all down at the bottom. $4.5 for export working capital and international trade, and that's a full. John, do you see these increasing? I know they're talking continuing adjustments and tweaks to the program. Do you see this being?
I do think there'll be an effort made to increase the 7A loan amount. It's been talked about a great deal, and so I see it. That's when I talk to bankers, that's one thing that they that hasn't been addressed yet that they would like. Perhaps the one thing that hasn't been addressed yet that they would like of the menu of things they would like to see happen. The fee,
very good.
The guarantee amount, that's great, but they want larger loans.
What's going on with 504, Katie?
Yeah, so this notice came out today. There's the slide. This notice came out today. It's basically allowing projects approved between December 27th of 2020 and September 30th of 2021. Those loans will not have a third-party lender participation fee or a CDC processing fee. SBA will be reimbursing CDCs for that amount that is not being collected from the borrower in an amount equal to 1.5% of the net debenture proceeds. They're also going to be, if the borrower's already started to pay on that, they're going to reimburse those fees as well.
Let's talk about deferments. By the way, I'm going to note here, we may have misspoken. Then the September 27th date loans had to be approved, not dispersed. But what's going on with loan deferments, Katie? Go to the next slide, Joseph.
Yeah, so we've got a little bit more information about those Section 1112 payments. We've already received quite a bit for lenders on this issue, but SBA did just release a notice to lenders saying that they've notified all the borrowers of whether or not they're going to be eligible for these 1112 payments and basically how that's going to work. So it's more on the borrower side, but they are notifying borrowers and expect to hear from your borrowers about that.
We have number of months. How many months are we talking about, John, Katie? Do you know, either of you know?
You have an initial, I don't remember the initial. I know if you're in certain groups, you're going to have an extra 5 months of it, but I don't remember if the initial's 2 or 3 months.
I think initially,
Okay, yeah.
it depends on what category you fall into, but it could be as few as 3 or as many with the extra 5 months as 8.
And I may have misspoken again. I said deferment. This is actually deferral. The agency's making these payments, correct? Yeah, mm-hmm. So I did misspeak on that. Let's see. I'm going to get to these questions. Yeah, there's the pro forma that SBA programs are more equitable. I don't see any. That's fine, but I don't see any changes to the programs, John. I mean, that's just they're making those statements, but SBA is pretty equitable as it is right now, and we announced some committee chairs in USDA. We'll hold off. We're going to talk about USDA next week, what's happening. Okay, questions. What happens if SBA runs out of funding for the waived 7A SBA fees? John asked, that's not going to happen. Is it, John? The other John?
I don't, looking at those numbers, I don't foresee it happening. And if they run out, I mean, if they run out, they'll fill it up. 2015, they ran out of money, and it affected people for about a week, and Congress quickly made the adjustments, added, provided the extra money. So there's tremendous support for SBA. If it runs out of money, I would imagine it would be quickly topped off.
Yeah, they'll fill a bucket back up. Chris wants to clarify the guarantee on the Express remains at 50%, Chris. It's just we've upped it to $1 million. And also that expires on September 30th, 2021. Do we expect that to continue at the $1 million level, or is this a one-off?
That's an interesting question because for several years now, the agency has been attempting to, get a permanent $1 million, well, at least a permanent increase in the threshold for the loan size threshold for SBA Express. Since there was a little confusion, I'll emphasize that the loan size threshold for SBA Access, no change to the guarantee amount. So I know the agency would like it to be $1 million permanently. That's what they asked for the 2 previous fiscal years. That was part of the budget. It never got. It never made it. As a permanent move.
Right.
It was increased as part of the CARES Act, and then increased again or extended again, through the end of 2021 fiscal year.
Right.
So it's up in the air. It's a long and drawn out way of saying that's up in the air.
Well, my opinion on that is that this too will pass in terms of where we are. Express will remain. Philosophically, 30,000 foot level, I accept the 50-50 partnership. But in the details, then, if that happens, then the lenders need a lot more flexibility in terms of oversight. We already know the lenders can use their own documentation, but there needs to be a trade-off. I am certainly not advocating getting rid of 7A. I'm certainly a fan of the 90%. And that is the purpose of the program whenever we have these financial crises. And Katie, there will be another crisis in your future.
Oh, I'm sure.
Unfortunately. But that's the purpose of that. But I agree, John, I agree. I think Express is here to stay. It'll be, and I hope they keep that at that $1 million level. Real quick. Yes, and Abigail, we did clarify that it said approved by September 27th, not this first. That's on me. I misspoke. I apologize. Raman asked, do you know when the second round of IDO will start? I don't know. John, do you?
No, I'm afraid.
Yeah. Cinnamon asked, this may have been asked before, but what do the businesses that close loans after these dates, and are they still operating at a lower percentage? I'm confused by that question, so I'm going to move on. We've had a lot of questions on business acquisition, and basically people are saying, hey, I acquired this business, but I had no payroll in 2020, and I started. The reality is you have to compare 2019 versus 2020, but if you weren't in business on February 2020, it's an ineligible business. And I know people are trying to get around that. And I would be pretty firm in saying, no, you have to be in business. And I don't know the answer to this, Ara, but I'll ask the question. Maybe someone else does that and they can send it to us so we can respond to it tomorrow. Or we'll get Lance on it. This is, they're getting a denial for, and the reason is for the project low to medium income indicator is mandatory. I don't know what that is. I'm not even going to guess. John, real quick, what else are you working on? What any fascinating stories that affect our industry?
Well, a story we posted.
So that's probably all that you do. Go ahead.
Yeah, in a broad sense. The story we posted today was about the potential for an increase in non-bank merger acquisitions. That is a bank buying a non-bank, be it a mortgage lender or a specialty lender or some type of fintech firm, what have you. And the people we talk to say that's going to bounce back just like traditional M&A this year. So maybe some SBA lenders non-bank SBA lenders will be purchased. It's possible.
The advantage to a lender buying a non-bank lender?
I beg your pardon?
What is the advantage for a lender to buy a non-bank lender?
It's from a regulatory standpoint, it's much simpler. It's a much simpler transaction. I can't imagine it would take as long as the bank transactions, and there's no system conversion. It's just a much simpler transaction.
Yeah. Katie, can you put Joseph, I'm sorry, can you put that slide up again on the maximum loan amounts? And we did gloss over this. The guarantee percentage is 75% for loans less than 350, and there it is. The maximum loan amount is 262,500, and that is a 75% guarantee. So good. Our people are holding our feet to the fire, which is great. And we apologize. All this stuff's hitting, and we're doing the best we can in terms of getting to you what we think is the important information. John, thank you very much for your time. I know you're busy. Keep spreading the good word about what lenders are doing out there. Katie, good to see you as always. And thank you for joining us today for Coleman Report Live and for supporting America's Main Street, one entrepreneur at a time.
Have a great day.